Black woman. Beautiful, powerful, resilient female of African descent with skin kissed by the sun. Conversation. A talk, especially an informal one between two or more people in which news and ideas are exchanged. We love being black women. Black women are ambitious. Black women are confident. Black women are diligent. We are tenacious. We walk out of our houses put together. We are many shades and personalities of fabulous. But we as black women don't talk about our dilemmas, current events, and what's going on every day that affects us. So, we created this podcast as a way to laugh together, cry together, and have an open conversation about life as black women.
Oh, that's deep. Black Women Conversations.
Hey, Nicole.
Hey, Janine.
How's your week been?
It's getting better. It's getting better. So, last week I went to DC for the American College of OBGYN's Board of Directors meeting. So I'm really excited to be able to serve young physicians across the nation who are OBGYNs. It's always interesting when you learn the inside happenings of what's going on with the organization that you have so much confidence and pride for. So I'm honored to serve. So that was my first, second in-person deep dive into all the issues that are going on with OBGYNs across the US. So it was interesting. It was enlightening. And there were times that it was really fun. But, DC is always really fun for me. Like, I love DC. It's one of my favorite cities. And I'm so upset that I did not get to see you, Janine.
Yeah, girl, you was busy. And if you moved to DC, then you would see me a lot. Just
Girl, listen, we just moved to Atlanta. We haven't even, speaking of just moved, tell me why my stuff was supposed to be here between the dates of October 29th through the 4th. Okay. And for y'all know that we record usually a couple of days before the episode drops. So the episode will drop on Thursday, which is what, the 10th? Yeah, the 10th. Now we're recording on the 7th. I said the 29th to the 4th, though, is when my delivery window was, right? Still nothing. Okay. I have no boxes in my house. The stuff that was supposed to be delivered, the little furniture. Now, we rebought a lot of furniture, but the furniture items that we were supposed to have delivered, they're not here. And then I had to call them to figure out why y'all not here. And they said, oh, we'll be there tomorrow afternoon. Then the relocation specialist called and said, oh, no, they'll be here the morning of the 9th. I said, I'm going back out of town on the 10th. So y'all going to be sitting outside with boxes come the 10th if there's not there, because I will be in Hawaii from the 10th through the 16th. Okay. So these moving companies, I just do not understand why. I should have went back with Mayflower. That's who I went with before. These people are, y'all, don't go with them. Don't pick them. Don't pick them. I said it, and I ain't mad I'm saying it. My experience has been poor. I will write the review. They can sue me for saying I don't care. Don't pick them. I don't have no stuff. I got to go buy some stuff to wear because I'm wearing the same clothes, y'all, because my stuff is not here. Do not go with them. Anyway.
Y'all, she said if y'all want to sue her, Nicole, I'm just playing. But y'all, why we just can't get better service? Like, service is going down these days. I just feel like, and I get it, like, moving is always difficult, but like, if y'all say that you're going to do something, then can y'all do it? And if you don't really want to be in the service industry of any sort, including moving, then don't, because somebody will make that money. Because it costs a pretty penny to move, no?
Oh, it costs a whole bunch to move. And that's why I'm like, this is not a cheap move. We're talking about tens of thousands of dollars to move. And you can't tell me when my stuff is going to be there. Like, I literally had to ask them, okay, was the estimate accurate? Because you are going to expect not a check, because they can't be paid by check, either a card transaction, they're going to expect cash, or a certified traveler's check. but I need to know how much I owe you, because you can't expect for me to have just like $15K in my back pocket and that could be like just randomly charging my card. No, I need to authorize that. So you need to tell me how much it is. Oh, well, we usually tell you 48 hours before. I said, ma'am, y'all are 48 hours delayed, over 48 hours delayed. So I should have known what the estimate was a day after you picked it up, right? Because you have to, everything's estimated by weight. So stop it, ma'am. And then y'all left stuff in my house. I'm telling you, coffee table, end tables in my house, vases, decorations still in the cabinets. I had to literally toss out a whole bunch of stuff. And there are still coffee tables and end tables in my house. So if anybody needs a coffee table and 2 end tables and you're in the greater Houston area, let me know. Okay, you can go pick them up. You can have them.
Nicole, it sounds like you might not owe them anything when you're done. That's what that sounds like, because it sounds like they've made mistakes all the way through this.
And they have. So I don't know. I'm just ready to. This season of my life is called surviving. I mean, there's just so much going on with the transition, the move. I got to make sure that I can actually get a Georgia medical license. I'm still waiting on that. I got to get credentialed for my new job. I'm still waiting on that. I got to get my stuff unpacked. I mean, this 2022 little stint, I'm just surviving, y'all. Y'all just pray my strength. Just pray my strength. And I don't want the moment to go by fast, right? To everything, there's a season. Okay. And this season is survival. And I'm not trying to speed God along in this process. I'm going to take it one step at a time. And I'm going to live out these days before I get in my 40s, just gracefully. But y'all pray for me in the process. That's all I got to say.
Well, we'll be praying, because survival is important. I appreciate the fact that you said that you're not trying to rush the survival, because, that's kind of the thing. Like, we get into these uncomfortable moments and we want it to hurry up so that we can get back to the things that are comfortable and happy and joyous. But there's always something to be learned in those moments. So I'm glad that you're not rushing it, but I do, for your sake, hope that survival mode is over soon so that you can get back to being like level and, the way that you would like your life to be, not haphazard and living out of 2 cities and, moving around and all of that. So I hope it goes by quickly for your sake.
So, Janine, how was your week?
So Janine is now having a very, I don't want to say peaceful, but I will say, yeah, I think it's peaceful, but I don't want to imply that it wasn't peaceful before. I'm having a very balanced life right now. And, things are not crazy because we're in the slower season, and I'm actually really enjoying it. There are some things that I actually get to do, like, a brunch here, or, going to see friends there. And I will just say I have to remember that I'm allergic to wine and not to just partake because I like it. But other than that, I think, I like where we are. But I want to point this out. Nicole is so busy now that she comes all the way to DC and doesn't have time to see me. But remember, y'all, she said, oh, we'll see, when Janine said that November was going to be slow for her. But it has been. So far, Janine's November has lived up to her expectations. But Dr. Plenty, on the other hand, Dr. Plenty took over the super busy schedule that Janine had. I just want y'all to know.
Well, Janine, you, like I say, little bitty season, okay? You've been busy since Kingdom Come. This is my little bitty stint. I'm going to get my footing and then I'll be fine. And mind you, I could have stayed an additional day, but like I said, my flight got canceled. So I was like trying to shuffle and figure out how the heck I was going to get home, because I knew that if my flight got canceled Sunday evening and I had to work on Monday, well, I can't just wait till Sunday to try to figure out how to get up out of there. So there were some extenuating circumstances at play this time, but I'll be back. I love DC, and I feel like all of our meetings now are in DC, so I'll be back.
We have already talked about it. So in Nicole's defense, we have already talked about the return of Nicole to DC. So in her defense, but y'all, she's still busy though, just so you know.
All right, Jenny, what's on our timeline?
So this episode is about something that's super simple. It's a simple statement that was made by Twitter user Nicole, who goes by at Nicole with 2 I's _ Nicole, like you spell it. And it says just this: a lot of men aren't used to women genuinely caring about them. Now, Nicole, while I do agree with this statement, I did some digging to try to really understand why it's true, or why at least I feel that it's true. So first, let me say this. While I presume that this statement probably applies to men in general, as you know, I've looked through several articles, it generally says men. My personal experience is with Black men. So know that as I navigate through this timeline topic, that is the lens that I'm looking through, because I've only really dealt with Black men. So y'all, if I say something that's incorrect and it doesn't fit, keep that in mind. So before we even get into men and some of their like self-sabotaging behaviors, I want to explore kind of what I consider the foundation of how we kind of got here. So in society, and more specifically in Black culture, we all know that we raise girls to be thoughtful. They're taught to be cooperative and caring. We raise them to be nurturing. We have them play with baby dolls and play house and things like that, right? And then it's kind of inherent in a woman's nature, based on how they're raised in our culture, that they're expected to be super nurturing and super caring. They're expected to take care of the house when they grow up. They're expected to take care of children. And it's considered socially acceptable for them to be sensitive and caring and to express their emotions. So little boys, on the other hand, are taught to be more problem solvers. We want them to be rough and tumbly. They jump off of things, they break limbs. Girls are supposed to be dainty, but boys, they can be rough and tumbly. They're supposed to be tough and strong. And we teach men that they're supposed to provide and protect their families. They're expected to be strong and fearless. It's often considered taboo, not just in our culture, but in many cultures, for them to be outwardly expressive of their emotions. We just kind of want these strong, robotic men that are going to provide for us in society, not us specifically, that are going to provide for us, but not necessarily need the loving, caring, and affection that our women do. So not only are gender roles a part of this, but there are also some things in our history that specifically Black men have to deal with as well. So Black men were seen as an undervalued, valuable commodity. They were bought and sold. The stronger they were, the more like mules or oxen that they appeared, the more valuable they were. They were ripped away from their families. Now, you all know I'm talking about slavery, so there's that. They were ripped away from their families, forcing them to be disconnected from the community as a whole. But our men, then, after we get through that portion, then they went into ripping them away from their families to put them in war. So at this point, the women were now holding down the home and a job just so that they could maintain the family. Then we get into the mass incarceration of Black men and the crack epidemic and all of the other external factors that kept Black men away from their families. These are the things that, or some of the things I should say, these are some of the things that have gotten us to this point where we are, I would say, kind of transitioning out now, right? This point that we are, I would say, if I may, a transactional relationship is what we have with our men. It's more about what they can do, what they can bring home. And we've kind of perpetuated this really toxic narrative that we don't need men. Now, if we're being honest, with the exception of procreation, we really don't need men, because most everything that we traditionally use men for, we can pretty much do it ourselves. But the reason why I think that this narrative is super toxic is because we don't need them. But life can be a whole lot easier with a good man. We don't need them. But companionship is really clutch, right? Like a lot of us saw that through the pandemic where we were like, oh, wait a second. We don't want these four walls to cave in on us. And it feels nuts that I feel like I'm talking to myself constantly or talking to a screen. Companionship is clutch. So yes, we don't technically need men, but they can be useful. But we've kind of circulated this abnormal cultural norm and gender stereotypes and generations after generations have perpetuated this narrative. And now we have a generation where some believe, and we've talked about this before, that a man is only as good as what he can provide for you, both financially and materially. And again, relationships between men and women have become super transactional. A lot of women, they're like, if you would like to be with me and you want these cookies, then I need some money. I need allowance. I need hair. I need nails. I need house. I need car. I need, right? And it's not really much more than that. It's super transactional and it's pretty devoid of emotion. Honestly, we have a generation of women, and I will say several generations because I don't think that this is a new thing. We have several generations that are kind of missing out on probably the best part of men, their emotional maturity, their spiritual maturity, and them being able to provide the things that we need. And I'm not talking about the things like cars and houses and nails and hair. I'm talking about the non-tangible things like emotional support, like just support, just knowing that someone is there, companionship. We overlook those things. We overlook them, we downplay them. And those, to be very honest with you, are probably some of the most important characteristics of a relationship. But because that's not what is glamorized, and we're going to go back to this good old internet, because that's not what's glamorized and you can't see those things, most people don't actually seek after those things. Because this has been going on for so many generations, I don't think that men necessarily are always, and women too, are always in touch with their emotions or don't always know how to genuinely care about someone past what that person can do for them. So men have gotten used to being in a role where they don't really look for care or concern because it's much easier to say, here's some money, here's a check, here's a car, here's a house. It's much easier to do that because you can see what's happening rather than genuinely getting in touch with your emotions and figuring out, well, what does this person need? Or what is it that I need out of this relationship? And we, on the other hand, have gotten to this place where it doesn't look good to have an emotional or overly emotional man. So we're kind of willing to allow men to be toxically masculine because it fits our narrative. We don't give them the space to be vulnerable. And when they are, we consider it to be less than masculine. And then this whole cycle continues. We continue to perpetuate this. Men shouldn't be vulnerable. Women should be caring and loving. And we are missing the point in the middle. So then when someone really does genuinely care about a man is surprised. Or he doesn't know how to accept the care because he's not familiar with it. And oftentimes, we don't know how to give the care because we are also not familiar with it. But Nicole, this all started with a tweet. And look, I think that while the majority of this is we're not used to giving and receiving care, I think that, society plays a large part in this, specifically for Black men. But I think that we've also fallen into this strong Black man trope, right? And I think that we need to remember that the same way that we get tired of being strong Black women, and sometimes we want the opportunity to be vulnerable, we need to extend that same opportunity to our Black men. Because at the end of the day, They want the same loving, caring, and affection that we want. What do you think, Nicole?
I think that I did not agree with that tweet that she put out there that says that men are used to women treating them right.
Caring for them.
Yeah, I just think that's a bunch of bull. I really do. I mean, I get your research behind it and toxic relationships and how society has forced men to be these super masculine providers, which means that they are sort of desensitized, and women have had to sort of pick up the slack from men, and we don't really know how to treat them. I don't agree with that. I think that most Black women who are about something, let's say that, okay, treat our men like kings. I do. I do think that we treat men well. And I think that some men, if they've been in environments, especially growing up, not being nurtured or not having that affection in their life, that may catch them a little off guard, right? When they get that affection. But I think that a lot of men will come to women for that care and affection if they lack that from their home situation or when they were a situation where they were reared. That's my opinion. Okay. That's my opinion. I know you did and dug research on this, but I just don't agree. I think that men choose women that do show them love and care. I would hope. I mean, maybe that's the hopeless romantic part of me. Like, oh, I want a man to think that I care about him. I want him to care about me. I mean, that's why you date and you get married. You attract the person who you feel is going to provide and care for you as a woman. That's what I do. Men should clinch to that person that shows them love and who they want to care for and who shows them mutual respect and cares for them. That's my opinion. But, I'm a Southern belle. And so I am used to catering for these men. And so I think that our Southern men are very used to women showing that they care about them. That's just me. Maybe it's regional. Maybe we need to do a poll. Maybe it's regional. But I think that these men out here are spoiled and they know these women care about them.
And see, I don't think that. I think that men see care and concern very differently than what we give. I think that because women are so nurturing, we often think that like if we're nurturing and we're giving and doing and cooking and cleaning and, doing all of the like wifely things, that means that men should just know that we care about them. But I think that and this is what I got from the tweet and some of the responses from the tweet. I think that what the missing portion of this care, I think that we're using the word care when maybe the better word is emotional connection, because I think that men kind of avoid that portion of their lives, right? Because they're not really taught how to handle it. We're just getting into a point now where it's acceptable in the Black community for us to be in touch with our emotions. And if our emotions are out of whack, it's acceptable for us to get help, right? So this is a newfound phenomenon in our community. And when someone cares about you, it's not just, hey, I'm taking care of what my responsibilities are. It's more about where are you? And it's those things that, like I said before, those non-tangible things, those emotional connections, the spiritual connections, like where is that? And I don't think that a lot of people really genuinely find those connections and hold on to and nourish those connections, because that's not, life is a rat race. People are busy. There's a number of reasons. They might not know, they might not have time, they might not think about it. For goodness sakes, therapy is just a newfound phenomenon here, right? So like they haven't even really had access. I don't want to say access. We haven't even really accepted therapy enough into our culture for us to see a generational shift of loving and caring. That's what I think. And honestly, Nicole, if you look at the rate of divorce, I would really think that while some people like you and I and some others, I would say, are genuinely working hard to nurture and care for their significant other, some people don't have time. Some people don't have the energy. Some people don't have the wherewithal to know that that's what's missing. They're just fighting, and the relationship can be over before they even get the chance to work on it. So I don't know. I mean, there are a number of things that play into this. The fact that we're in such an instantaneous society, and if things don't work, we live in this world where we're like, if it's not working for us and if it's a bad energy for us, then we're moving on because we don't have to accept anything that we don't like. When sometimes things are just about you have to put a little bit more effort into it. And I think that that's probably where we're missing the care and concern that men are looking for. And I'm not saying that all men are even prepared for it. Sometimes men are like, that ain't what I'm looking for. I'm just trying to smash. Let's be honest. There are those as well. But I don't know. I think it depends on the person. You're probably right also, Nicole. It probably depends on the region as well. But I think that it's very cultural. I think that we as a Black community struggle with, even amongst friends, showing genuine care and concern and having our relationships not be as transactional as they seem to be.
Well, we're not talking to those that just want to smash, right? We're talking about people that actually genuinely want love in a relationship. Now, if you just want to smash, we don't really care if you feel like women care about you or not, because obviously you don't care about women, right? If you just trying to smash, you caring about yourself. You're a squirrel trying to get a nut. That's all you care about. So we're not talking about you. Okay. We're only talking about those who genuinely are looking for love. But I almost want a man on this show, on this episode, Janine, so he can talk about how he would feel about this. Because I feel like we're lacking a little bit of perspective. Because I'm thinking, we're both thinking from our own ideals, right? What we think men think. And we're all thinking from our own perspective, right? I have a very Southern traditional perspective. And that may be why you're like, I don't see that, right? You have a very city-like East Coast perspective, which is why you're like, yeah, these people are lacking, they ain't showing that they care, and we ain't showing we care about them. Two different perspectives. But listen, men, if you're listening, we care about you. Even East Coast women, they care about you. They just don't know how to show it yet. Okay. But, that's why, the women are better from the South. That's all I'm going to say. All right, Janine. So what do you think? Do you think we should get to some of these letters?
Let's do it.
Okay. So our first letter reads, Nicole and Janine, my little 28-year-old brother is in love with toxic women, and it makes me sick. He's a pilot, so he sometimes crashes at my place when he flies into Philadelphia. His girlfriend, Tasha, is just so toxic. I would hear them arguing every time she didn't hear from him when his flights were delayed. He often complains that she used to snap for no reason at all. She was extremely jealous. Once during our 4th of July celebration, I brought one of my girlfriends with me. We were all talking because we grew up together and used to hang out since he's only 2 years younger than me. She called him away from us, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw her slap him. It took everything in me not to beat that down. Then she storms out, gets into her car, and goes back to the hotel. Of course, my brother follows. They eventually broke up after she pulled a knife on him one night during an argument. It's been a little over a year now. He's dated 2 other girls, but hasn't been serious about either one of them. He says these girls are really nice, often making him lunch and literally catering to him, at least when he's around family and I've seen her. And he doesn't like it. When I ask him what was wrong with the last one, he says she's just too nice. He says she didn't show enough emotion, and it was like she really didn't care because she wasn't emotional. I was like, huh? Are you serious? And now Tasha, the ex, is trying to come back around. Ladies, how do I let my brother see that it's not safe to be with such a toxic woman and in toxic relationships? Am I overstepping? What would you do? Signed, Tamisha.
So, Tamisha, let me say this. The one thing, let's go back to your teen years, right? Let's go back, and maybe you didn't have this, but I sure did. If someone is telling you not to be with someone, that doesn't do anything but make you want to be with them that much more to prove a point. And I don't know if you're like this, and I don't know if you had your teen years like this, but if I had to go back to a time when I was like this, it was my teen years. The more that people told me not to be with whoever it was that I was with at the time, it just drew me that much closer to them. So I'm not saying you're overstepping, but I would say tread lightly here, because clearly your brother and you have very different views on what will work for him. Honestly, I would suggest that you suggest that your brother go talk to somebody. I mean, this is not an ad for BetterHelp, but we do push BetterHelp. And if he doesn't have time, it's probably a very good resource for him. Maybe he needs to go talk to someone. Maybe he needs to talk to somebody to work through whatever is going on in his life, because generally, relationships tend to be reflective of other things that are going on in your life. So if you're not happy with yourself, if you have a difficult work life, whatever it is that is happening, for whatever reason, he is drawn back to this person. Now, sometimes you're just drawn to a toxic personality, but it will take some sort of work on his part for himself to get himself out of this perpetual cycle of being with women who are toxic. Or maybe it's just this one girl. I think you said her name was Tasha. And maybe it's just Tasha. I know a lot of people who are in toxic relationships or were in toxic relationships realize that they love and care about the person, but you just cannot be with them because it is not healthy. It's not. You can love and care about somebody from a distance. You don't have to be in a relationship with them. And the only way that he's going to be able to figure this out is if he figures out within himself what he's actually looking for in a person and what he's benefiting from the relationship and what they're benefiting from him, like what he's offering to the relationship. All of that work is work that he has to do within himself. So no matter how much you want to tell him, how much you would like to be there to save your little brother, I think you said it was your little brother, no matter how much you would like to insert yourself, I don't think that you should. I think that if you address this, you need to address it in a manner that is you wanting the best for him, not you wanting him not to be with Tasha. What do you think, Nicole?
So I just feel like this is not Tamisha's lane. He's 28 years old. I understand that this seems like a dangerous situation in that Tasha is toxic, right? She's pulling out, knives on your brother. I would say if I witnessed it, I would definitely step in at that time, and I would have probably said something directly. So if I see something in my presence, I'm gonna say something. But you can't stop him besides having a conversation with him and saying, look, bro, this girl is out to kill you. She can just snap and kill you, and I'm worried. Besides voicing your concerns, you can't really do anything else. I mean, he's grown. He's going to make his own decisions. And it is what it is. All you can do is when you see something, you say something. Okay. You let it be known that you don't approve of her behavior, but let you know, like Janine says, you don't want to push him away by arguing with his girlfriend just to argue, or, butting in where you shouldn't butt in, because guess what? The person he's sleeping with has his ear. He is going to listen to whoever he's with. And that may mean him distancing himself from his family. With this girl being so toxic, it is something that I can see her doing. So I would say tread lightly, have a conversation with him, express your concern. If you see that she's out of line, I would say something at that point. But other than that, you have to respect their relationships, respect the boundaries that he sets forth, and just pray that he makes a grown-up and the right decision that keeps him safe at night. All right, Janine, what does your letter say?
This one says, Nicole and Janine, my husband and I have been married for 7 years. I love him with all of my heart, and I would do anything for him, and I mean anything. But recently, he made a comment that hurt me to my core. He said he knows that I love him, but he's not sure that I actually care about him. My first response was, what? What do you mean? What do you mean you're not sure that I care about you? We've been married for 7 years. You've never missed a meal. The house is clean. The dogs are fed. And then it says in parentheses, we don't have children yet. And I let you have guy time whenever you need it. Of course I care about you. Then I really listened to what he was saying, and I felt bad. I've been associating my care with tasks that need to be accomplished, chores of such. Because of that, it makes me really think, does he know that I care about him? Ladies, how can I show my husband that I genuinely love and care about him? Signed, Vicky.
All right, Vicky. I think that this is like a classic example of you don't understand your husband's love language, right? Like I feel like y'all should sit down, read the 5 love languages, and figure out how your husband feels love, because the way you're showing love is by acts of service, right? So that's what you're doing, like random acts of kindness, acts of service. But everybody doesn't feel love like that, right? And so reading the 5 love languages, and listen, we do not get any money from the 5 love languages. I'm pretty sure they've made enough money off that book since its inception. Okay. So like this is a really good book. I think every married couple probably has a couple copies. Everybody doesn't feel love the same way, right? So some people need words of affirmation, meaning you need to give them compliments, remind them that you love them, say nice things. Some people need literal physical touch. Like they need to be intimate. They need to be felt. They need to be held. They need to hold hands. They're mushy, touchy, feely people. Okay. Some people like acts of service, like, oh, we wash your car without you being asked, or, oh, you're cleaning up after me. You're cooking my favorite meal. Like those people need that kind of stuff. Some people, I don't remember the other 2, but like there are 5 of them, obviously. Okay. And we will post all 5 of them because I think that it's good for us to know and read and figure out how our mate feels loved, right? So once you know what that person's love language is, and you know that it's not, random acts of kindness or acts of service, maybe it's spending quality time. So maybe you plan a trip together. That was another one. That was 4. Maybe it's quality time. Maybe you spend a trip together. Or if it is words of affirmation, maybe you put love notes in his, in his bag before he goes to work. You actually do the things that will allow him to feel loved. And then he'll say, oh my God, my wife loves me. But if you are just assuming that he is going to feel loved because you love him, and you're showing him love the way you feel loved, well, that's not going to cut it. Okay. That's not going to cut it. And he's showing you and telling you he doesn't feel that. So you got to figure out the way he feels love. And some of that is about communication, right? So y'all need to be constantly communicating, because even if somebody feels love a certain way, like let's say, hey, they were turned on by words of affirmation when you first met them. Well, maybe they've evolved and they need something different now. Okay. And so we have to constantly be learning and relearning our spouses to stay connected with them and to keep those lines of communication open. And when the lines of communication are open, you have to say, okay, what is missing here? And sometimes that may mean that we need to get a professional involved, a counselor involved, to help us be able to figure out where the lines are blurred and why we're not connecting and why this person is not feeling loved, although you love them.
I agree, Nicole. I think that, Vicky, it sounds like you all need some like counseling. Not bad, not negative. Don't think you all are in a negative space, but it seems like your husband is in touch with his emotions, and he's in touch with the way that he's feeling in the marriage right now. And I don't want you to ignore it, because this letter feels like it's a lot about what you can do and what you're asking us, how you can make your husband feel that you genuinely love and care about him. Have you asked him? That's the real question that I have. Like, have you asked him what is making him say this? Why does he feel this way? What are some things that you can do to make him understand that you care about him? And then maybe also I would point out the things that you do to him and tell him, these are the things that I do because I care about you. Now, to Nicole's point, if that's not his love language, he's never going to see it as care if it's not. But if it is his love language and maybe he's overlooking them, then it might be helpful if you point those things out, right? My suggestion is for you to get somebody who go get a therapist. And this is, again, not to continue to push therapy, but therapy is a very useful, underutilized tool. Get someone who is neutral to the situation that can show you and your husband where you might be missing each other's care and concern and love. And that way, you all are not loving past one another and caring past one another. You are actually in this together. 7 years is a long time to get through marriage. It does not sound like a long time when you know the people who have been married for 50, 60 years. But these days, 7 years is a very long time. There are relationships that aren't even lasting 7 minutes. I think I just saw a post from Chrisette Michelle earlier about her going through a divorce for the past 3 years, and the divorce is lasting longer than the marriage did. So 7 years is a long time. So you have something there. Sounds like you have a stable, solid foundation to your marriage. Now it's time to, re-up and figure out, as Nicole said, people change. So figure out where you all are now, because where you were 7 years ago is not where you are right this moment. And it won't be where you are in 7 years from now. So just re-energize and recharge your relationship and make sure that you all are doing it together so that you're growing together and not growing apart. Because these are the forks in the road of marriage where you can unknowingly grow apart. So let's try to get to the place where we are growing together. And sometimes we need tools like therapy and books, and do the work. Just do the work, because relationships don't come easy. We all know this. And not to get on you, Vicky, but I think a lot of people probably are dealing with this kind of situation, right? A lot of people are dealing with, hey, I feel a certain way. Maybe it's not clear to my significant other, and you all are missing each other. Let's just get reconnected. That's it. I think it's very simple. I think that you ask your husband what it is that you can do, what it is that he's looking for that you're not doing, and then get in some therapy. And I think you'll be just fine.
That was a fantastic advice, Janine. So, what did you learn new this week?
Nicole, this came from a study that was done from the University of Toledo. And basically, it's saying that this is speaking to men and their emotional state, and us in our emotional state as well. But, women are more, and we've spoken about this, women are more likely to go seek help. While men deal with depression, about 30% of men deal with depression, only about 9% of them actually go seek help. So oftentimes, men are either not in touch with their emotions enough to go seek help and understand that they're having an issue and subsequently seeking help, or they view it as less than masculine to ask for help, and they think that they can just endure it on their own. What did you learn new this week, Nicole?
So I think that's interesting what you just said, because it speaks to how, although women have more suicidal ideations and suicide attempts, men are 3 times more likely to successfully complete suicide. And that statistic speaks volumes to that. And so we, in our relationship, we need to encourage our men to seek counseling. And when we see the red flags, when we see the shutdown, we should really, reach out and say, is everything okay? Now, obviously, it's not our job to become counselor, okay? But being, recognizing the signs and letting them know that you care about them and that it's okay to talk to somebody and it's okay to get help. And that is actually, the brave thing to do can go a long way. So what I learned, was about signs of a toxic relationship. I was reading an article about that, and I found out about keeping score. And I thought, what is that? The keeping score phenomenon is when someone you're dating continues to blame you for past mistakes. So if both people in the relationship do this, it devolves into the relationship scorecard, where the relationship devolves into a battle to see who has screwed up the most over the months or years, and therefore who is most indebted to the other. So like y'all both cheat, but he cheated on me way more times. So me cheating on him this one time, that's nothing. That is what the relationship scorecard is. Who knew that there was actually a thing? But I've heard of people keeping tally. Like I messed up, but he messed up 10 times more than I messed up. That's a scorecard, y'all.
Yeah, sometimes it's difficult. I've seen that before, but I think that sometimes we fall into those traps. I don't know if we keep it across the relationship, but we fall into those traps because we don't want to get used. But we have to remember when you're in a relationship, both people are vulnerable. So if you're going to get used, they're going to get used too. And if you don't trust the person, maybe you shouldn't be in a relationship. You don't trust that they have your well-being in mind. Maybe that's not the right place for you.
That part. And also, if you forgave that person, so if that person messed up and you decide to stay with them, it's sort of like it's a clean slate, right? You're starting over. And if you're struggling with that, whatever they've done to hurt you, say, I'm still struggling with this. I'm still working through this. So then when you make a decision, it's based on, I'm still struggling. I can't get over this. So then you got to move on if you can't get over it. If you're struggling, you can't move on. You can't forgive and forget and start anew. Then you're doing yourself and your mate a disservice by staying in the same thing, bringing up the same issues over and over and over again and not trusting that person has moved on. All right, Janine. So are you ready for the motivational moment?
Yes, ma'am. Let's do it.
So the motivational moment comes from Emma Zhu, and she said, love should not make you feel like walking on eggshells. Ooh, y'all let that one sink in. Instead, when in love, you should feel open, you should want to be vulnerable, and feel like the best version of yourself. Until we meet again.
Pray, work, slay.
And show off your melanated excellence. Bye!
Oh, That's Deep, Black Women Conversations is produced by Nicole Lee Plenty and Janine Brunson Johnson. Executive producer, Ken Johnson. Get the Oh, That's Deep, Black Women Conversation podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, or where you get your podcasts. Please subscribe and rate us. You can follow Oh, That's Deep, Black Women Conversations on IG at Oh, That's Deep, BWC. Oh, That's Deep, Black Women Conversations is a Mean Old Lion Media production.